let's talk about how I captured some recent photos from my new 50mm f2.5. Come along. I grabbed this one at the beginning of a photo walk the other day. I was drawn to the storefront with this very interesting lighting and dreamy sky. I think the scene has a lot of character. I took this shot in various ways, but I enjoy this composition because it has a dreamy quality to it. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I removed a lot of environmental context, like the sidewalk, for example. The morning light also helps with that. The storefront has these interesting bricks, repeating things like doors and windows, the lights, even the rugs. The things that repeat are the same, but different. I also like the street light coming out of the top of the building with a wire shooting off at a diagonal angle. Fun stuff. I took this in front of a building that I've always kept my eye on. It's such an opportunity-rich scene, and I await the day when a ridiculous subject is present. But on this day, I just got a fellow walking by, whom I do appreciate. There were two fellows in this area that looked remarkably similar, so in the next one, it may have been the same guy, or it may have been another guy. Something's going on there that we need to talk about, I think.
Lizard people, the return of the Mongols. There are plenty of things that could be at play here.
I also captured this one from the side to work in the sidewalk as a leading line as well. So this scene provides these two angles to play with. But of course, one of the strongest parts of this scene is the symmetry. The whole scene is symmetry. And the 50mm focal length with its very eye-like rendering of the world with straight lines and the perfect middle ground of telephoto-ness handles this type of shot well. I have two major struggles with this scene. One is waiting for the right subject, and the other is finding the correct light. And that's a work in progress. This lamp has been in this window for years. It makes for a beautiful, warm point of light to break up a cool morning alley scene in this case. It obviously creates a ton of visual contrast, and it acts as a subject, of course, as well, of course. This is an interesting composition to me because all the action is on the edges. We have the lamp in the window on the left and the open, empty street on the right. Framing it this way creates a flow to the image and gives the eye a path to move up and down. I love the strangely empty quality of the bright street with a tall, brutal, windowless wall at the end. The puddles in the alley are also nice. Here's another shot from that same alley of a spot that I've always loved. I love the human-designed blend of things here. The stairs, the cables, the electric meter boxes on the wall, the AC vent, the oddly shaped sky bridge. There's a strange flow to all of it. The 50mm offers the perfect look for this scene with a natural amount of polish and compression. As you can see, I'm backed away from this corner enough to fit everything in the scene, and I'm shooting straight on to keep lines straight. Not that you have to do that. And the huge building in the background allows it to feel like a back alley in a sprawling metropolis. I also noticed this beautifully placed traffic cone to add some extra intrigue to the bright point at the end of the alley as well. I was out early enough in the day that I was able to leverage this dynamic lighting situation where the foreground is fairly shadowy with this nice point of light on the right to draw the eye and break up the darkness. And then the background is much brighter, which draws the eye down the alley and ultimately to the orange cone. This creates a pleasing flow to the image that you likely wouldn't have at 12 p.m. on a sunny day. Here's another darker alley with some character. For this one, I lifted up my camera up over a gate, which you can see in the foreground. I love the feeling of this spot, and the time of day was perfect to capture this moody vibe and have the points of light at the end of the alley be bright enough to create this pleasing dynamic that draws the eye to the end of the alley. While it is an environmental shot with a lot of things to look at, I think the hierarchy of light helps organize the scene for us and provide a point of focus. I also love how the color grade plays on the lighting dynamic as well. This one's fun. It ended up being an interesting play of urban environmental elements with the steeple acting as the pinnacle of this multitude of upward pointing things. The photo would be much different without it, and I think this is a good example of how, in the right conditions, urban clutter can be captured to pleasing effect. I love the clouds and light, I love the ramp shooting in on the bottom right, and I love how the pyramid lines up with the steeple. Now this last one is from a different place. You guys may remember a couple of videos ago, I was on a trip to the beach with the family, and I went out to a spot below a bridge to take some of my first photos with the new 50mm. This was one of my favorites from the day. I love how it flows with the bridge starting on the top right and shooting out into the distance, acting as a leading line. I love how it has a destination, but it disappears into the tree line. I also love the layers in the distance. You have water, grass, floating grass, and trees. And then of course we have a nice well-lit boat for a subject. For me, this photo is about the whole scene, but it needed a strong subject to bring it together. It also needed some nice light to give definition to the bridge and light said subject. And I think it worked out nicely in this case. This is another great example of the balanced focal length and compression of the 50mm. Everything doesn't feel too far away, everything isn't stacked too tightly on top of each other. It makes a scene like this look natural and lovely. Okay friends, that's it. I hope this was the most life-altering video you've ever seen. I hope you're in tears. All these photos were edited with my presets, which you can buy below. Thank you for watching. Would love to hear your thoughts. God bless.